Good morning, neighbors. Systems. I tossed this word around earlier and before. Systems and science. Systems is one of those words you can apply to a lot of things. I've mentioned before. That can of peas that you're buying on the store shelf got there by a warehousing and inventory systems. So if you have a systems paradigm, if you're looking for these system things that make the world work, welcome to my world. Systems engineering was my career in many different disciplines. People paid me to do this. Big corporations paid me to do this. Manufacturing systems, production systems, chemical processes, manufacturing, welding processes, conveyor systems inside of manufacturing processes, battery-powered vehicles, automatic guided vehicles, distributed controls. These are all systems work that I've been involved in at many different levels. Almost all considered engineering jobs. Engineering titles. Even senior titles out there, hey. So this systems idea, this is big. This is really big when you start to do this. The word systems means a different thing in different rooms and different offices. There's manufacturing systems, production systems, inventory systems, human resource systems. There's mining systems. Next time you see a mine site, YouTube's pretty good for that. That is a system. In order to deliver the rocks to a crusher, there is a system, processes designed, built into a system to deliver rocks to a rock crusher. That system involves blasting and mining and heavy equipment and light equipment and people and repair parts and maintenance, operations costs, initial capital investment to get started doing these huge things. One of the systems that's as important to us is the Environmental Protection Agency. This was a system, a process, a procedure, an organization, a governmental organization created to keep Americans safe from the pollution of heavy industries. That was the bottom line. If you look at the reasons, the foundations for the EPA signed by a Republican president was because heavy industry was killing people. You can go look up names like Hooker Chemicals, Union Carbide, there's one. That's an interesting company that never died, it just disappeared. It was bought out by other companies because of the very profitable patents held within Union Carbide for chemical gas process systems, huge plants. And one blew up. Cost Union Carbide their corporation name. But they didn't go away. They just were devoured, eaten alive by someone else, another corporation. So this EPA thing was founded based upon what was found on the Great Lakes. Not much mention has been made about how much escaped or was dumped into our Great Lakes, but the information's out there somewhere. The story of Love Canal still goes on, still exists. The pollution is returning in areas it kind of shouldn't. But it kind of should when you understand the geology, the chemistry, how these things flow, how liquids, how solids can move through the Earth's surface and contaminate groundwater, drinking water, puddles. Imagine your kid playing in a puddle and 3 years later he's got some sort of disease that you can't quite explain. And you can't quite afford the hospital bills for it. This is why the EPA was set up. The cost, the human cost of these pollutants was enough to build a massive organization that tries to guide the states in their effective control of pollution so that humans aren't killed in mass. People die. But when a lot of people die under the same circumstances, I mean, murder is one of the things that comes to mind with that. But they're a public corporation, limited liability corporations. And they're under layers of 5 other corporate names that own them just to protect the innocent from anything other than making money. So this systems idea, creating the word system and the sentence, the qualifiers about that, manufacturing systems, production systems, human resource systems. This is a way of framing, putting a bound around something so you can begin measuring it. When you label something a system and start to define its inputs and its outputs, you're creating, might look like a flow chart. You start at A and you end up at F, and the output is a widget that everybody wants to buy. But the cost of that output might be pollution around just one place manufacturing all that stuff. Heavy industry. Now they do try not to kill us. They do make an attempt at that. But it's not a true or false proposition. It's a risk. Will they get caught? Will they get insured? So this idea of systems can overwhelm you if you try to you can go into all kinds of places using the word system, trying to define what you mean by that. It can be long conversations, and then once you have this system defined, you can start measuring it. Is it effective? Is it productive? Is it doing good or bad or evil or true or falses? Or is it maybe a simple improvement of 5% in the health outcomes for the nation's population? A 5% improvement in the health outcomes. How could you do that? Limiting air pollution. Now we've got to define what air pollution even means. And that has been a long, long road in our understanding of how to measure things, what to measure, where to measure, when to measure. These things cost. These things get very expensive when you have to have a $50,000 piece of lab equipment, a chemist to run it, a lab facility capable of keeping it in the condition it needs to be in with a roof and windows maybe, probably air conditioning and heating. Those are operations costs, ongoing operations. So these systems, this systems idea is pretty big. It's pretty huge. It's across the globe. My travels were North America, all of North America, parts of Canada, almost every state in America, wherever there was a General Motors plant and many subsidiaries that fed General Motors plants. Got my opinion about one thing or another. They help build business case in order to build more effective manufacturing systems. They helped build a business case for computer terminals on people's desks when that was a big worry. Making a decision to go to laptops over desktops for 10,000 people. There might be a sentence or a paragraph I added to that conversation in some paper. It's just business, folks. This is just business. It's not a conspiracy, although that's a good word for it. And some people don't like rules. They think their greater good is bigger than your greater good, I suppose. They hide behind magic and silly ideas of how we have evolved and learned to live with this planet, on this planet. Build homes and houses and subdivisions and sewage systems and water treatment systems and the utilities to the house, the internet, the AC power, maybe cable. It's complicated. So this is what our current Republican government is trying to do. Destroy systems, make them so ineffective that they can fuss about them and say they don't work when they've spent decades making them not work. And both parties are guilty of this. They've put up with laws, with tunnels written through them for other people to drive through. Not you and me. We don't get to go through those tunnels. Or if we do, we're going to pay a goddamn big toll. In private tunnels. America has invested billions into research in every aspect of life that surrounds you. I was introduced to this through DARPA contractors building computer systems for NASA that evolved into computer systems for heavy industry. We paid for the foundations of that. We paid for the foundations of this cell phone, making my silly recordings. These things matter. These are foundational systems that help keep people in check, in line. It is the reason for the name of this channel, Measured Constraints. If you've ever been in large project management and done risk management, there's other terms for that to avoid scaring people. It's liability management. Will an insurance company cover that? Or will they allow your claim? Or will they cancel your claim? These systems, healthcare systems, I spent part of a career inside of state Medicaid and Medicare systems, providing services to over a dozen states. Huge systems. I signed legal papers about data security and training and about my employees. Because you can go to prison for sending bad data through some of our healthcare systems. You can go to prison for sharing data from our healthcare systems. But oddly, those laws weren't really written to protect you. HIPAA was written to divide and conquer, to keep data from being shared with other organizations. So all Medicare and Medicaid systems get is Medicare and Medicaid data and billing information. They don't get private industry information unless there's data sharing agreements about that and they're told what to do. It costs people time, money. It's operations cost to build and run these queries. Yes, it doesn't take 100 people, but it takes some pretty darn intelligent ones about the systems they're working on. Now, go add up systems. How many fingers and toes does it take to count the number of systems? You can just think about offhand. Your gas station. Go to get gas. Why is there gas in the gas tank? Their gas tank to fill your gas tank. Hey. Find good people to vote for. Run for office. Make it local. Make it state, make it federal, whatever you can afford to do. Let the people that are doing good know they're doing good. The voices for good are out there. Not enough of them. I'm not on either party's side at this point because they're the reason we got here. Peace out. Spring's coming. Starting to plant the garden.